What's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode number 3 of the Replan Roundtable live show, episode number 3. Today, we're going to be talking about whether you should FBA your items, right? Fulfillment by Amazon, or merchant fulfill. So we're going to be battling it out, not really battling it out, but we're going to be talking about what are the reasons why you might want to sell on Amazon via FBA? And what are the reasons why you might want to sell as a merchant? What are some of the benefits? What are some of the downsides? And I'm going to be perfectly crystal clear when I say this. There are significant benefits to doing FBA over MF, but there's also huge downsides as well. And, we're going to discuss why we're doing FBA. Some of us are FBA. Some of us are merchant fulfilled. Some of us are doing over 7 figures FBA. Others are doing over 7 figures merchant fulfilled. So this is going to be a really, really exciting show. And I think this is going to benefit the folks who maybe they're trying to figure out, should I continue doing FBA or should I switch from merchant fulfilling, or what are the benefits? Like, are there more profits to be made? Could I reduce my return rate if I go and become a merchant fulfilled seller? So we're going to cover all of that today. Okay. So if you guys are here watching live right now, drop a comment, let us know down below where you are watching from, and we are going to get started. And if anybody has any questions during the show, feel free to ask away. And, that's what we're here for, to answer questions, add value. So let's start off with a little introduction, and maybe we'll go around and we'll start with Caleb. If you want to unmute yourself, Caleb, and let's talk a little bit about, maybe you could share, in 30 seconds or less, who you are, how long you've been selling, and maybe go into how your Q1 is going, Caleb. How's Q1 going? How are your sales? How are your profits? Would love to know. What's up, Caleb?
Absolutely. What's up, Steve? Good to see you. So I've been selling on Amazon for about 4 years, and I started with merchant fulfilled, and now I do FBA. I did like doing FBA more, but I guess we'll probably get into that later. I'm from Michigan, and I am in my 30s. I've managed businesses before. This is basically the first successful business that I've owned, and I'm very thankful for it. This year in Q1, my sales have been pretty steady the past 6 months, pretty much the same through Q4 as Q1. Pretty average for what I've been doing the last 18 months. I think my sales are right around 50,000 a month, and very thankful for that.
Awesome. And you're an FBA seller, Caleb, just to be clear, before we get to battle.
I am maybe 80% FBA and 20% FBM through a prep center.
Gotcha. Awesome. Okay, cool. Let's go over to Aaron next. Now it looks like Tanner might have disappeared, so we'll wait till Tanner comes back. But Aaron, how you doing, man? Oklahoma in the house, right?
That's right, Steve. Yeah, Oklahoma, born and raised. But I've been selling, God, man, I was trying to think about it. It's been maybe 3.5 years, 4 years now, something like that. Can't remember. Started out thrifting books, and now I'm full E to A and full FBA. And so right now I'm breaking the 100K mark each month. Did it last month, on pace to do it again this month. Goal is to do at least 1.5 million in sales this year. And I think that's about it.
Awesome. And Avery wants to know, are you fully caffeinated? Do you drink coffee, or have you quit coffee?
I do not drink coffee at all. I'm actually a Mountain Dew drinker.
Is it so? There's caffeine in Mountain Dew, right? Yeah, and all those.
Just a little bit,
enough to get you going. Well, cool, man. Excited to see where you're going to take things this year. And again, Aaron is an FBA seller. So let's move over to some of those MF sellers. I know I'm biased, but there's a lot of benefits to being a merchant. A lot of people in the community think merchant fulfilling is silly, and they would be far wrong. But let's get into things with Jason, man. Jason just got done with a 60-minute HIIT workout. I can see the sweat pouring down, AKA dropping things off at the post office. As a merchant fulfilled seller, what's going on, Jason, from Las Vegas?
What's going on? It's heating up over here in Vegas and sales. So nice and parallel there. Everything's good, man. Everything's great. So Jason, I'm from Las Vegas, born and raised here. This is my 11th year on the Amazon pain train. but destination is doing well, and been full-time merchant fulfill for 2 years, 8 years FBA before that. This is my third full year on the full-time on the E2A model, which in my opinion is by far the most superior model out there if you treat it with respect, and you can do really well. So looking forward to this podcast, because as you said, Steve, there's a lot of good arguments on both sides.
Absolutely. Very, very cool. And yeah, maybe towards the end of the show, we'll share some cool things that Jason's been up to, whatever he wants to share. He's been doing some really cool stuff behind the scenes. So anything you're comfortable sharing, of course. But yeah, super happy to have you here, man. Let's go over to Robert. And while Robert is introducing himself, talking about things, I'm going to see where our boy Tanner went. Maybe he's in this. Maybe, oh my God, he's here the whole time. I'm such a freaking dude. Tanner, I'm so sorry, dude. StreamYard, like they pushed the stage down, so I didn't even know you were there. You're probably thinking like, dude, you've been on YouTube for 12 years. What in the world is wrong with you? I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'll pass it over to Robert. My bad.
So I've been selling on Amazon since 2019, basically, and I did a FBA, the usual FBA, online arbitrage, and that was it was fun for a while. Then I realized I hated not having control of everything in the business, because it was based off the Amazon's hand, and I can't call them on the phone like, hey, what's up with my SKU over here? Why is it not listed for sale? Instead of emailing some AI person that doesn't respond back to me, or sending me some fake email back, and it was a mess. And I tried the whole prep center route, and that didn't really work out well. Now I just do everything myself. Well, not myself. I have a guy who works for me at my house, and he ships stuff out for me and all that stuff. But I've been doing FBM for basically the last better part of 4 or 5 years, and it's the best way to go, in my opinion.
Awesome, man. And I believe you are a 7-figure Amazon seller, right? You did 7 figures this year?
Yep, it was nice.
Oh man, as a merchant fulfilled seller.
Yeah, it actually wasn't that bad though. I mean, my ASP is pretty high, so it's not that many orders.
And the crazy thing too is people will be like, well, I can't merchant fulfill because I have a full-time job.
So do I. I work like 48 hours a week.
Exactly. So man, glad to have you here, man. That's super duper cool that you're able to, work a full-time job and do 7 figures, merchant fulfilling E2A. So very cool. Okay. Tanner, man, the man that I locked out of the call, not knowing you were here again. I'm very sorry about that. What's going on, man? You're FBA Tanner now, right? A little merchant, or I know you were thinking about switching, but I can't figure out. Maybe we're going to have to convert you either side, but introduce yourself. What are you doing?
What's up, everybody? I'm Tanner. I've been on Amazon or selling Amazon since like 2023. Been selling books and used media up until about November of last year. I still have a lot of books in my inventory, probably about like 600 units still to sell through at FBA, but I'm 100% merchant fulfilled with eBay to Amazon. So the last 3 to 4 months, I've been all merchant fulfilled 100%. I mean, I've been scaling little by little, not even little by little. Like I've been making pretty big jumps each month. Like right now, I'm looking at my sales. I'm at 31K this month, and that's with me being in Europe for 7 days. So there's 7 days that I basically had no sales for 7 days. So I'm thinking, well, last 30 days I'm at 52K. So, but if I had that 7-day spread, that if I was actually have sales there, I think I would be closer to like 65, 70 maybe. But I'm cranking right now. Yeah. So it's been good learning from you guys.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Jason and I were actually, I forgot when it might've been on Facebook, but we were saying how proud we were of you in particular, Tanner. Of course, everybody here and a lot of others, but man, you're just taking all the information, man, that you're learning from everybody and just freaking running with it. And it just proves, man, on Amazon, you don't get rewarded for knowing things. You don't get rewarded for knowing a specific replan or a strategy or having a certain software. Like all those things could help, but it's about taking action and kind of learning on the fly. So yeah, I saw your post before we went live. You put out a post recently with, I guess, some record sales or something, but man, I love it, dude. Keep it up. I'm excited to see where Tanner takes things this year, because I feel like your engine's just starting to rev up, man. I don't know where that vehicle's going, but I'm pumped up to see it. So Very cool. Yeah. Avery says Tanner deserves a free month of Replay Catcher. Yeah, you're going to get something, man, for that. We got Christine in the house from Virginia. We got Arizona. We got Jeff, Sean. So glad to have everybody here right now. So, all right, let's get into the segment. And I'm thinking what we're going to do here is, and I want to be clear up front that, some of us are going to be biased, right? Because that's what we do. But the goal here, like at least my goal, and I'm sure everybody agrees, is we want to kind of lay everything out on the table. Like I'm obviously biased with FBA. Certain people are biased with FBA. Others are in love with merchant fulfilling. Like we want to lay out all of the reasons we love it. And then everybody can decide. And maybe at the end, what we'll do is we'll kind of talk about like why I decided to go FBA, like why Jason decided to go MF, because there's pros and cons on either side. So I'm thinking what we can start off with is because I think people are a lot more familiar with FBA. Maybe we can go in and just dive into the benefits of FBA first, because I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by all the benefits of merchant fulfilling. And so maybe we'll start it off like that. And maybe we can start with Aaron, because I know he was super excited to, share why he's doing FBA. So maybe you can share maybe 2 or 3 things that you really love about FBA over merchant fulfilling. And we'll kind of go around and then we'll talk MF. So what are your top 3 reasons for doing FBA over merchant fulfilling?
I think the biggest freedom is just the freedom of not having to worry about the products at my house. All of my stuff gets sent to a prep center. The only items that I touch is as I started having all the returns come back to my house, and then any random RA stuff. But for the most part, I'm not having to touch products. So that's number 1. Number 2 is probably I've outsourced everything to all my VAs. And so that's even more freedom that I don't have to either touch items, and I honestly don't work a whole lot because I have VAs to do that for me, to do all the sourcing. And number 3, I'm trying to think of a third one, Steve. You put me on the spot here.
Freedom was so you can travel in the RV.
Yes, I play golf a lot. So the freedom to do that, to do what I want, when I want, not having to, here's one thing, not having to make all those crazy runs that Jason does every day to the post office / FedEx / UPS. So gas money, having to do all those things. And keeping up with all the shipping supplies. I think that's a whole nother thing, is because of all the shipping stuff that he does, he's having to order all these boxes, all this tape and whatever, keeping up with all that stuff.
Yeah. How many boxes did Jason order? He put something out in the group recently. I think he ended up in like the Guinness World Records for the most amount of boxes ordered in Las Vegas. It was something crazy, man. You spent like, what was it? Like $5,000 on boxes or something?
More than that.
No, after tax exempt, it was 99, 97, 40. It was like $2 under 10. It was like 19,000 boxes, but then I ended up ordering 2,000 more. And then when I did this last Lego deal, part of the deal was he goes, I got 500 more boxes. Do you mind buying me out? I'll give them to you for half price of Uline. I'm like, sure. So whatever. But I wanted to get the whole year out of the way because I had the space and I ran the numbers. I figured it'd save me probably $3 or $4 grand right there. And I'm really just aggressive on margin right now. So, but I did enjoy it for a few days, having to move things around and put it away. So,
yeah, well, Jason's burning more calories than we are, sitting on the computer all day, just telling VAs what to do. No, I'm just kidding.
So my biggest thing is freedom. I think I'm just gonna say that, freedom,
reselling freedom, baby. All right, I'm gonna go next. So I'm going to name a couple things that I like. Of course, freedom and, everything that you had mentioned as well, being able to travel, being able to make money while not while I sleep, because you can make money while you're sleeping with merchant fulfilling as well, but you do have to actually fulfill it yourself. But I love that I can just, if I want to take a week off, or if I want to focus on a different business, or I just, I don't want to think about it, I don't have to. Like I can literally just do something else and the business continues to run, because FBA, stands for fulfillment by Amazon. I mean, the difference between merchant fulfilling is merchant fulfilling, you're kind of like an eBay seller in a sense where you have to store all your inventory. You've got to be able to find your inventory. You've got to ship it. You've got to deal with customer service. You've got to deal with returns. You've got to be messaging with the sellers. FBA is very, very hands off, right? You just front load everything to them and they pretty much do all the work for you. But that does come at an expense, which I know Jason, he's got his locked and loaded, man. I know he's got a lot to share and it's true. I would say another thing that I really, really like is the prime bump that you get with FBA versus merchant fulfilling. And I'm actually interested to hear what Jason and Robert have to say about this, and Tanner, because I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of experience merchant fulfilling, so I can't really, shed too much light on that. But from my understanding, and even just from looking at the Keepa charts and different things like that, and from what I've heard from others, is you can sell your items for more money and even faster. In certain cases, like if there's a merchant fulfilled seller on a listing and an FBA, typically, from my understanding, people trust FBA more because they think they're buying directly from Amazon when, I mean, they are buying from Amazon, but they don't realize there's a third-party seller like me and you supplying it to them. So the prime bump, selling a little bit faster. And one big thing as well, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm not a merchant fulfilled expert. From my understanding, it's easier to remove negative feedback, I believe, as a FBA seller compared to merchant fulfilling. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, and I want this to be an open discussion for everyone here and in the comments. But from my understanding, if you get negative feedback, every time I get negative feedback as an FBA seller, I can get it removed like that. But from what I've heard, it's a lot more difficult if you're a merchant fulfilled seller. But I'm not 100% sure. So those are some of the benefits that I would say. But obviously, freedom outweighs everything. There's tons of downsides to FBA, but freedom is just the number one for me. What about you, Caleb? I think you're the last FBA seller here who's mostly FBA. Anything that we missed, or just share your personal thoughts on why you're 80% FBA and only 20% merchant fulfilled?
Yeah, so I started out as merchant fulfilled, and that was really good. I think, in my opinion, to start that way. Because buying on eBay, at least in my experience, I struggled to purchase good items that would resell well and not be returned. I bought open boxes. I was a little bit sloppy when I first started. I wasn't part of this group. I found Flip Mine on my own. And so doing merchant fulfilled, I think, kind of saved my butt a little bit. That way I could see the items, return them if I needed to. And I started really small. That was about 4 years ago. Then I did some FBA and it was a little bit sloppier. I had a ton of returns and I just had to, I was doing it the hard way. So I went back to merchant fulfilled. But when I was doing FBA, I could travel, which to me, that was a big deal. I could just jump on a plane, go visit friends, and then come home whenever I wanted to. Everything was on my laptop. But merchant fulfilled, I was at home working 2 days in the garage. I did enjoy it. I didn't mind taping up the boxes, finding the inventory, driving to the post office. I didn't mind doing that. But I would say out of doing both full time, FBA, I think, is a lot easier. I have a couple of virtual assistants who do most of the work, and kind of like Aaron, I have to admit, and I guess Steve as well, I don't think we spend a lot of time on the business. And I think that's the advantage of FBA. I think it's pretty simple. I would just say if you're new to E2A, it'd be really helpful to do FBM at least to start, so you get it, so you can touch and feel all your products that you purchase. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And I would even say, and we're going to get more into this, if you're a new seller and you don't have a lot of money, I think there's a lot of benefits to doing merchant fulfilling over FBA, which we'll get into. But I guess I'll end by saying a couple more things that I wanted to mention on notes here that I had written down. Less customer messaging, so you don't really have to message the customers. Although sometimes like messages slide through FBA and it's like you have to answer to resolve it. It's more of a digital lifestyle. You can outsource your stuff to a prep center, so you don't ever have to see the products, touch the products, smell the products. Yes, some of those products, they smell. You don't have to work every single day in your business if you don't want to. You don't have to store the items at your house. You don't have to worry about canceling orders if you lose an item or something. Although on the other side of the coin, Amazon will lose your stuff. FBA. You don't have to worry about late shipping. And yeah, those are the reasons that I had. Anything that I'm missing, guys, for benefits, Tanner or anybody, benefits of FBA over merchant fulfilling that we missed? Tanner, you have anything? Or because I know you FBA'd for a while, with books.
No, I mean, it's the freedom aspect's the main thing with FBA. That's like the only thing that I miss about FBA. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. I'll go into the merchant fulfilled part when I'm called on.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think what we'll do now is we'll go into merchant fulfilling. And what I want to do is kind of not trash FBA, but I really want to talk about the downsides of it and why you love merchant fulfilling. What are some of the benefits? What are some of the things you don't like about FBA? And I don't want anybody to hold back because I want everyone to have a clear picture of the pros and the cons. Because as we mentioned, a ton of benefits, there are a bunch of downsides. So Tanner, maybe you want to start it off, and maybe go into a couple, and then maybe we could go to Jason and Robert.
Yeah, so I've done FBA like my whole Amazon career up until about like 4 or 5 months ago. And about 4 or 5 months ago, I got a Section 3 and I was 100% FBA. And I'm under the impression that you're more likely to get a Section 3 if you are FBA. I could be wrong, but I think Amazon, and I'm not trying to put bad juju on anybody else in here because I don't wish that on anybody because I went through it and it sucked. But I don't know. I think more what I'm trying to say is you're more in control of your inventory when you're merchant fulfilled. So if you were to go through anything, get suspended, or you had to go through, a Section 3 or something like that, granted, we all did the eBay to Amazon masterclass. We're sourcing, safe brands, safe ASINs and all that. But if it were to happen, you would be in control of your inventory. You could liquidate to Walmart if you can sell on Walmart. You can sell them back onto eBay. You can liquidate them to another Amazon seller and sell through their Amazon account or something like that. You know what I mean? Like even though I have heard like if you were to get shut down, Amazon does send your products back to you after like 6 months or so. I have heard that, but I don't know if it's like guaranteed or anything. So that would be like one thing. The other thing is like I'm still young. And I'm in like my wealth accumulation phase of my life. I think you can make a ton of money FBA, but I think there are benefits of like restocking fees. Like you're able to actually pack your orders with like shipping paper. Like Amazon will throw in like a small item in this massive box and it gets like, tossed around and that could cause a return from a customer. So the fact that, as a merchant fulfilled seller, you can pack it really nicely, pad it in there. It reduces the chance of a refund. And like Caleb said, you can see the products, feel the products, touch them. If you buy an open box item, you can look in there and see if like it's actually new or not. I think you can, there's a lot of ways for you to protect your margin, as a merchant fulfilled seller, over FBA, in my opinion. And so I think you could get your return percentage down 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% points lower than a FBA seller just because of those reasons. And to answer your question with the prime bump, I don't even know if there's really a prime bump. I like with it, at least the products that I'm selling, like I don't know. I'm selling more than I ever have in my entire career, and like I'm a merchant fulfilled seller. Like I'm aggressively repricing under any FBA seller. Like I'm winning the buy box pretty consistently, and things are selling through quickly. I do catch ASINs that do tend to favor FBA more, but I think it's few far in between. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I haven't really skipped a beat as far as sell through goes and as far as that goes, but. I don't know. I think the margin thing is the main thing. Like I'm in my wealth accumulation phase of my life, and there's a lot of ways to protect margin with FBA, with merchant fulfilled. So that's that.
That was a great response, and I had to run off to get a pen because I wanted to write this down so I didn't forget it. I swear that Amazon is probably costing me $20,000-$30,000 in net profit for the whole year because they ship freaking things in poly bags, like a $300 Lego set. They'll just put it in a poly bag, like things that are just so fragile. They'll ship it without a box. They'll just put the sticker right on a toner cartridge, not even put it in a box and ship it. It gets smashed. So yeah, that's one thing right there that, you know, I think really, really stands out to me. But okay, cool. Let's go over to Jason, man. What comes to mind in terms of, because you were FBA for many, many years, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
8 years. Yeah.
8 years. So it's not like, you know, you just randomly chose merchant fulfilling, or, you know,
No.
you had one bad experience. Like, you were the king of FBA. Like, you were doing, I mean, massive numbers with FBA. So talk to us about some of the benefits, and maybe, you know, battle it out with some of the things that I said. Would love to hear your feedback.
I mean, obviously benefits, freedom. Something nobody mentioned, obviously just time savings in general, not having to deal with the FBA, but a lot of people have problems sourcing or not spending enough time sourcing. So if you're not having to deal with the FBA side, maybe you have a prep center or something, and you still want to do your sourcing on Replay Catcher, just frees up more time to source, to find more profitable products. So you're focusing on finding the money versus the, you know, the grunt work, so to speak. So I'm definitely not here to bash FBA. I'm not. You know, there's great reasons for it, but I think the issue is for many sellers, newer and older, is I don't know if they understand how much of a leak FBA is in many areas and how exposed they are. And it's okay if you're exposed and you can deal with that Section 3 or that temporary suspension. But a lot of people financially are not set up for it, and that's a problem. So FBA, you know, I mean, I've had it in the past. You send in a box with 50 items, they check it in with 0. I've had full boxes just no. So you Cuba scanned it at 49.2 pounds, but there was nothing in the box. I didn't realize air weighed that much. So you deal with that on occasion. The problem is with lost stuff or miscounted items. A lot of times they're in bunches. Like, you can lose 10, 20, 50 items at a time. And the process to try to get that back is grueling. You know, like, we need to see every single invoice and receipt for every single different ASIN that was in that one box that we so-called couldn't find. Like, it's really not good. And this may not happen for you for a year, but when it happens, it really hurts. You don't have the liquidity of having the product with you at any given time to be able to cross-sell it on different platforms, Walmart, Mercari, whatever you do. You know what I mean? It's there. If it's merchant fulfill, if you have it at least physically with you, you could go ahead and reallocate that a different way. FBA has a bad habit of having a customer return it to the fulfillment center, and they give it a half a second look over, and it's brand new, and they put it up brand new, and it's those new shoes are now used and they're scuffed on the bottom, and there's bubble gum because somebody wanted to take a run, and they resell it as new, and then of course it comes back to you. So now you have a second return on the item, which is more fees and more problems. So they're not taking. We all know FBA is about speed. We know that because they'll put a small item in a huge box with no padding. We understand they're run off of speed. We get that. And unfortunately, we have to pay for that often in small ways. And it does add up over time. So they don't handle your business the way they should. So it's a cost convenience. And then the big problem with FBA, and this happens so much, is that if you do get a Section 3, which somebody had mentioned in the chat, you know, basically they want to see some, they're going to call you. They're going to have invoices and documents they want to see from you. You can reach out to Tanner. Tanner, unfortunately, had to go through it recently. They're going to lock your account, and you have no access to your inventory until you have that scheduled call, probably in a week or so. And then depending on what happens, if they don't let you back up, it could take you 2 to 6 months to get your stuff back from them, which will be a heavy fee incur cost of all these boxes coming back. It's not like they send you a pallet. Like, they're going to have 200 boxes coming in, 1 of this, 5 of that. They're just going to keep rolling in. Of course, they're bouncing around in there because they don't pack them right. And the problem is financially people are stuck. Steve, I had a message with one of our old green room members a couple days ago, and I'm not going to mention names, but and you may know of this, but they got suspended, I want to say 6 months ago, and they have $100,000 of stuff at Amazon. And I talked to them, and they had, they're fighting it, lawyer and everything, and they're in a little bit of a pickle. And I try to tell people, if you can't afford a lawyer, if you don't have $1,000 or $2,000, or at least some good connections to talk about, getting on a Section 3 call, or trying to get your whatever eBay and whatever you have, and attacking that phone call with the best that you can, you really need to have a little bit of financial flexibility, because you may not get your stuff back for months, if not longer. And you may have to get legal representation to get it back. And unfortunately, that's the way it is with Amazon. And I mean, dozens and dozens of people. And I'm not trying to like, hey, your accounts, you're going to lose all your stuff. It happens a lot more than people think, unfortunately. And if you can't afford to have all your inventory tied up, I would seriously consider either switching to merchant fulfill, putting a nest egg aside for a couple $1,000s to at least cover yourself with representation, or what is becoming more and more popular that even I'm starting to promote is a mix between merchant fulfill and FBA. And you can split that either way that you want. Maybe you want to be 80% FBA because you have a full-time job and you have a limited amount of space. I know Tanner has a limited amount of space, and he's done really well recently with creating more room as he's expanded merchant fulfill. But I don't know if he'd ever be able to go 100% FBA at his current trajectory of getting so busy so quick, just because of the space, without having to get a storage unit and other costs and inconveniences, unless he moved or whatever. So I think some people can split the risk, so to speak, if they have the time to do that. Maybe do some FBA and some merchant fulfill. That may work for you. That's what I got.
I love it. I love it. That is really insightful. And I can tell you from everything he said, it's 100% true. All the benefits we shared with FBA, it comes at a price. You don't own your inventory. When it's there, they own it essentially, and they can do whatever they want. Talk a little bit about, Robert, some more reasons why you FBM, but maybe you could talk about cash flow as well, because that's a really, really, really big benefit of doing FBM over FBA, if you want to touch on that.
The main reason I like doing FBA is kind of what, FBM is what Tanner says, that I believe personally is that you won't get Section 3 if you're only FBM. But back to the cash flow aspect, you can flip the inventory. You can get the same day in your house, listed on Amazon, and it can sell the same exact day. And you can have the money back in your bank in like 14 days, which is incredible. If you do FBA, you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks, if not longer, if it's not lost. And if it's quarter forward time, looking at maybe 3 months before it's actually listed for sale. So with the FBM, you can turn your money twice a month, depending on where it's coming from and everything else, but you can really turn it really, really fast and scale much faster than FBA. With FBA, you're probably turning the same money maybe 6 times a year at most. With FBM, you can turn it 20 times a year, the same $10 over and over again, which is incredible if you're trying to scale fast.
But you have to do it at the expense of storing the inventory at your house, having a system in place to find the inventory, shipping it, dealing with.
It's really not that bad though, because once you get a hang of it, at first it's harder. Yeah, you have to figure out how to ship stuff out, how to weigh stuff. But honestly, I don't even weigh anything. I just estimate it. If it looks like it's 2 pounds, I put down 2 pounds, and that's it.
That's an Avery move. Avery's in the comments. That's what an Avery would do.
I used to weigh stuff, and I realized it doesn't really change anything, so I just left it alone. If it looks like it's 10 inches, it's all right. That's what it is. If anything, I get charged more for it in the end. It is what it is. But once you really learn how to do stuff fast, the most I ever did in a day was like 400 FBM orders. And that was just myself shipping it out. And that was like the week before Christmas. That was insane. But it took me the whole 10 hours to do it. But once you have a system down, if you know where this item is, and you just bang, bang, bang fast. And once you know what the supplies, you know what box to grab, you know if you're using a poly bag or bubble wrap, and you just kind of get a routine of doing it really quickly. So it sounds like it's more work, but if you're doing FBM, you still have to prep the package, label the package, and all this stuff. So you're doing the same work. You're just doing it if you're doing FBA, you're doing it more in a bulk time frame versus FBM, you're doing it when it sells. So it's either, and in my opinion, it's the same time used. except
You
you have
know
the
that
benefit of you can sell your stuff anywhere you want to. So if that one ace in tanks on Amazon and gets deleted, you can throw it on eBay or back on Walmart. If it's on Amazon, you're kind of stuck with it on Amazon until you pull it back to you and hoping it comes back in good shape again. Most of the time, it comes back trashed or beat up.
how many hours per week would you say that you're spending, Robert?
Me
Forget about
right
sourcing.
now,
Yeah, just like customer service, shipping, storing your inventory, dropping it off at the post office, whatever.
I don't do any of that stuff. I mean, I have UPS come to my house every day and post office comes to my house every day.
Okay.
FedEx I don't use. I just refuse to use them. But yeah, I mean, time wise, between my worker works for me like 30 hours a week, and the VA I don't really spend much time. Maybe like 5, 10 hours a week.
Wow.
And it's all
Interesting.
FBM. So I mean, I don't really spend much time. And if I wanted to take a trip to vacation, I just leave the house and it's all good. My worker
Because
knows what to do. He ships everything out, lists all the stuff for me, all that stuff. So it's easy.
now, one thing I wanted to also talk about that I'm really jealous of, and Jason and I, we were talking about this after Books and Beyond when we were driving around, is, FBA, and you know how it is, Aaron. Customers just return anything for any reason. They'll open up like
Yep.
Aaron and I were all new. I think everyone here is mostly new for the most part. But I'll sell a nice brand new, $250 Lego set, and they'll open it up, they'll play with it, they'll enjoy it, they'll really bond with their family, have a great time together, build it, destroy it, steal all the minifigures out, send it back. Amazon accepts it. I get completely screwed. And what happens, Jason? Does FBA take care of me? Do they say, "Oh, Steve, this looks like a customer that really took advantage of you"? What do they do, Jason, to us lovely FBA sellers?
They say thank you for your business.
That's the best thing with FBM is that I can charge you if you open the item, I can charge you a 20 to basically an 80% return fee, and I can relist the same item. Usually, at that point, the item's free for me at that point, so it's 100% profit when it sells again. To answer Christine's question, I pay my guy $25 an hour, and after so basically, as long as he's here at first it's like a flat rate. So up to 4 hours, regardless of how long he's here. If he's here for an hour and a half, he still gets paid $100. Anything after the 4 hours goes to 25 an hour. That's just how I do it for him. It's easier because there's some days where he's in and out fast. If it's fast item to ship out.
So it really
That way
seems like,
what was that?
oh, sorry, I was going to say, it really seems like there's less liability with FBM over FBA.
Yeah, I mean, I can control the items. I can see what's going on with everything. If like just last week, I had like 2 scams on me last week. People returned stuff that was like 10 years old or just beat up and destroyed. So I go on Amazon, I do a return process, charge them 100% return fee. They get nothing back, and it's all done. They don't get anything back. It's great. But if I was FBA, they would have gotten all their cash back, and I would have gotten screwed.
So what happens, Tanner or Jason, when, a customer says they want to return an item? Like, do you just give them their money back instantly? How does that work, FBM? Because FBA, Aaron, Caleb, they just get their money back, right? And then it hits Amazon as unsellable, and it's just like, well, too bad. What happens in the event someone's trying to like pull the wool over your eyes or something?
I would like to answer this. So as the people on the panel know, I've been using ChatGPT for months now. It's a daily thing. And it's really revolutionized how I attack my business. And on that topic, you should never, as a merchant seller, you should never just blatantly give your customer a refund unless you just gave them the wrong item or you completely screwed up. Because there's a process. You have to understand your rights with how Amazon works. Is your job is to provide a professional reply to them, because a lot of times it'll show as delivered and they say, hey, it wasn't here. And there's scripts and stuff that you can make yourself or chat can help you with. You can copy and paste them over and over again for the most part. Basically, it's like, hey, we understand your item's delivered, but you need to check with your neighbor, this and that, yada, yada, yada. But also with your carrier has GPS scan. And a lot of people don't realize that is at the time they're scanning that barcode on your patio, on your front door, it locks in that location with the postal service or whatever. Your job is to politely tell them to check with the neighbors, this and that, whatever, and then also that they have access to that, which they do. It's there for the customer's reasons. And you're encouraging them to go do that. And of course, most people are lazy. They don't want to do that. But it's a series of replies, because a lot of times they're like, oh, I checked the neighbor, nothing's there. And I'm like, well, you need to speak to them. If they keep pushing you, basically, by the time it gets to the third reply back from them, the auto reply that, or the template or whatever, is basically to have them contact Amazon directly to open that case with them, because basically what you're telling them, without I guess verbally saying it, is they need to open an A to Z claim, which is basically a customer contacting Amazon going, hey, I tried to work it out with the seller, but he said look for the package, it wasn't there, and he's not just blindly giving me a refund, so I want my refund right now or I'll never be your customer again, and Amazon will just give their money. That's okay, because then once you see that, then you as a seller get to open a safety claim and say, hey, I bought the label on your system. It left, it delivered, you have proof that it was delivered, this and that. The label went to the address on the system, which was provided by the customer, because it's automatically generated once you pay for shipping on Amazon. And basically you've done everything right. And I would like to be reimbursed for that. And you'll basically win those pretty much every single time. So sure, it's a pain in the butt to go back and forth with the customer, but these are quick copy and paste, And what I do recommend is, if it's during the middle of the day or the morning, I don't care what coast you're on, and you get a customer's rate saying, hey, it says it's delivered and it's not here, go ahead and send them that first reply saying, hey, you need to look in these areas. Also, your postal carrier has GPS and whatever. And quite often they'll auto reply right back because they're still on the computer and they're hot. And what I recommend is do not reply back, because it's just going to go back and forth. They're going to eat your day. You have 24 hours to respond to the next reply for them. I will respond late at night before I go to bed, or early in the morning the next day. You don't want to get in a tit for tat, because it's just going to irritate you and just waste your time. So you need to string things out. Not that you're trying to make it harder for the customer, because quite often they find the package that day anyways. It's at the side door or whatever. You'd be surprised how many times that you'll message them the next day, the follow-up reply, and they go, oh, no, I found it. Of course, they don't let you know that. So you're just kind of kicking the can professionally within your rights. And then they have to file the claim. You cannot file the claim for them. Do not give them the money if it shows delivered. You've done your job as a seller. They need to put in the work to do it themselves. You're kind of helping them, but no, you're not there to just hand them the money. If they want their money, they'll call or whatever, Amazon, and they'll get it, because Amazon's pretty much going to give it to them. But that's where the safety claim comes in. And this is going to save even decent sellers probably several thousands of dollars a year to the bottom line.
Awesome, man. That is some amazing game right there. Got a question for Tanner from Chris, man. Chris has been Chris McCauley. Big shout out to Chris, man. I've known him for a while. He's got an awesome YouTube channel as well. He's been an Amazon seller for almost probably close to a decade now. I remember interviewing on my channel, 2018 or so. But he wants to know, is there much of a difference repricing FBM versus FBA? I feel like having the right strategies is pretty important. If you are FBM, the main strategy is just be the lowest price, right? So maybe you guys can touch on that real quick. Is there a big difference between FBA and FBM? I'm actually curious as well.
First of all, I'm no expert on repricing, so take this strategy with a grain of salt. But I reprice, I undercut pretty aggressively. Like if it's especially under FBA sellers, like I'll go like 5, 7, 9 cents under like an FBA seller. FBM sellers, I'm undercutting everybody pretty much to try to get the sale. Amazon, like maybe like 3-5% under Amazon if Amazon's on the listing. So obviously we create a min and max price. So I really don't care where it sells within my min and max. Obviously you want to be closer to the higher end. But yeah, I'm undercutting pretty hard. So it has worked for me.
What about Jason and Robert? How are you guys? Are you just pricing the lowest? How do you know what to price the item for? Like, how do you know how often it's selling? Like, how do you kind of
read? For my pricing, I use every price I ever had. I just make based on my repricing strategy is the target buy box. And I set to 100%, and whatever it does, it does. So I usually set my max like $50 over the highest it's ever been. and my min is like usually set to like 60% ROI. And if it sells in that range, it sells. I don't really think about it too much. It's a very simple thing, but it works.
Yeah, I think the answer is very different for everybody. I really do, because that strategy works for Robert, and I may not like that strategy for me, and what Tanner does works for him. I had one main strategy, which was to undercut everybody. I don't care who it was, because I don't have a problem finding items. So for me, I want to turn and burn. If somebody says, "Well, you're taking less profit," but yeah, okay, I started off at $20 profit and it ran it down to 17. Okay, I made 17 profit, and I'm selling a lot more units, so it really does add up. But with chat and these last couple months, I moved into a second tier strategy that was in a live beta test, which was 25%. That I rolled it out to 50. It was outperforming, and then we actually a couple of weeks ago moved to. I actually have 7 different strategies now, depending on the type of item it is. So there's different min-max rules depending on the type of item it is. Is it more of a niche, low competition item? Is it a high seller count, fast selling item? And that's in the middle of, it's about 2 weeks in now, and they're all outpacing my legacy sales strategy that I've had for years. So basically they're saying is certain things act different ways. If you're on a Lego listing and there's 65 sellers, it's going to act differently than if you're selling a tool with 3 sellers, generally. So if your goal is margin, net margin, then you probably want to take some time to break that out to try to squeeze better repricing strategies out, which over time will really add up. And it's already adding up for me, even though it's still in the middle of what it's doing. And after 7 to 10 days, it kind of snapshot it and looks at it. And then it suggests, hey, you're doing good here. I think you can raise your minimum up 2%, or I think you can raise your maximum up another 3%. So it's, you never want to go crazy where you're just like, hey, I'm just going to double everything. It's like you need to make small increments because you don't want to blow through something or just have your inventory get stale. My buy box percentage was ultra high last year on purpose. And what I've learned for me this year is I decided to go with a much slower buy box share because I want net margin. And for my model, for what I'm doing this year, is that I want to make the most money profitable without having my inventory on hand explode. I want to be able to kind of keep up with it. So it's been a lot of back and forth for the last 90 days on that. And I run my numbers every single morning. With this model. I think this morning was day 780, if I remember correctly. So I'm really in tune to the numbers. So when you're looking at things every day, you can make these minor adjustments every week or two, and just kind of follow the dotted line and see where it kind of leads you. So, but I think one strategy can work for anybody. I mean, I ran the same strategy for 8 years and it did fine. But I'm just at a point now where 0.5% margin gain for a year is many thousands of dollars, and I want it. So I'm willing to put in the extra work to try to figure that out over probably a couple month period.
Awesome. I love it. Very cool. Hey, I'm curious, guys. I know a lot of us are selling a lot of the similar types of items. Obviously, some people are ungated or restricted in certain brands and products, but I'm curious, Tanner, do you know off the top, I know I'm throwing you under the bus right here, but I'll answer it too, and everybody, but since you moved over to E2A and you're doing mostly merchant fulfilling, do you know with your E2A business, merchant fulfilling, what's your average refund rate? Do you know that, Tanner? I'm actually curious.
Yeah, I track it bi-weekly. So whenever I get paid out, like with merchant fulfilled, all of your returns get uploaded into my inventory lab so that I can start tracking it from there. So what was it? So last month in February, it was 6.3%. And then January, it was 8%. So,
but is that also taken into consideration, like your books and other items, or is that just for E2A?
Yeah, it's everything.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. It's lower than mine. What about you, Robert? I'm curious. Do you know what your average refund rate is?
To be honest, I have no idea anymore. I used to know, but I haven't checked in like 3 months. So I have zero clue.
Well, I know Jason knows. Jason's like prepared for the Shark Tank. He knows every single number off the top. Sorry, you're muted, Jason. You got to unmute yourself, Jason. Oh,
sorry about that. Yeah, no, as soon as you asked the question, I just went to my payout period, screenshot, dumped it in chat, analyzed, boom, there it is. The last 2 weeks, 2.75% on the nose.
Woo! Wow.
That's what I'm saying. That's how powerful you can get with your data. Like literally the time you mentioned it, I plugged it in and there's the answer. So January was a little bit higher because you got return URE. February, I expected it to start coming down. It was low 4s, I think. So I was hoping to be in that 3 to 4% range for March, and it looks like it's going to come in there. But I worked really hard on that. So it's fantastic. It's really good. Really happy with that.
Yeah. A lot of us sell a lot of like home improvement, electronics, toys, games, new items. With those types of items, I would say on average, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would say on average, if you're doing that model with E2A, you're probably going to be somewhere between 4% return rate up to 15 to 20% if you're really not paying attention to your returns and stuff. Last year, I was at around, I think, 10%. And there were some months where it kind of went out of control because I was not as hands-on as I should have. I made a ton of updates this year, and the return rate's already starting to really lower. Forget about January and February because Q4 skewed those numbers big time from a lot of my boo-boos. But I think, so far for March, I'm under 7%. So, which is really big for me. I'm curious, Aaron, how you're doing with your refund rate. Cause you and I run almost an identical business, dude. We're like on so many of the same listings. It's not even funny. It's almost like we know each other's stores.
Yeah. I don't know your store. I was actually just looking at it on the dashboard, if you didn't know, on the Amazon dashboard. From what they're tracking, last 90 days is 9.89%. So that is one thing I have greatly paid attention to since probably November, December, which is kind of a good but bad time to pay attention to it because you know you're going to have a lot of returns coming up in that time frame anyway. But I just went back last 12 months. I mean, I was last July, I had almost a 20% return rate. It got way high. And so ever since then, it's dropped down. Just from February, it was 9.8 or what was February? It was down in the 7s. So definitely someone very important to pay attention to. Do not let it get out of control because it can very easily get out of control.
Yeah. And I'll say too, like you're probably going to have a higher refund rate with FBA over merchant fulfilling because of all the reasons that they mentioned. You're not controlling your inventory. They're sending out fragile items and freaking poly mailers. The employees don't give a crap about your inventory. God knows what's happening at the prep center. I mean, I can just keep going on and on and on. So one thing I want to be very clear about, and this is something that Aaron and Caleb and, all of us FBA sellers are aware of, you're going to have higher return rate. You're going to have lost shipments. You're going to have scams. Amazon does not have your back whatsoever with your inventory. So I can't get away with sourcing the same items that Jason. Jason actually has a big advantage over me. Why? Because Jason could source an item for 30% ROI and almost realize that because his return rate is so low and the leaks are plugged up with merchant fulfilling. Whereas I've got to go after 60% ROI items. I cannot compete with Jason in the same sense because there's so many leaks with FBA. So it's the same with Aaron as well. We know our return rate is going to be up there. We know there's going to be scams and lost shipments and different things that happen and things that never show up to the prep center, so on and so forth. So that's another reason you've got to know your numbers. And I'm a huge fan of, Seller Board, GoToLister. They're releasing a whole bunch of advanced analytics. Inventory Lab, of course, has a bunch of analytics, but you've got to know your numbers, especially if you're FBA, because there's so many ways for you to kind of get screwed. Caleb, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Yes, my returns are higher than everybody else's here. I'm closer to 15%. Surprise, surprise. I think I've told everybody that by now that I have high returns, but I've worked on it. It used to be worse. And I'm actually sitting here enjoying listening to everyone, kind of missing my FBM days. It was a little bit safer, but I'm working on other things. I really don't spend much time. So if that's something that interests you, do this. If I was working a full-time job, there's no way I could do FBM, in my opinion. I've been full-time Amazon for going on 3 years. So FBA has huge advantages using a prep center. And as of now, unless something drastic happens, I'm going to keep doing FBA, even though listening to Jason, Robert, and Tanner makes me want to do FBM again. Obviously, I could make more money. I love flipping items faster. That's a huge advantage. Being able to flip your items right away. That's massive. FBA can be a long time to check an item in, have it go to your prep center first. So, but my professional, what I might be able to help somebody do is, honestly, if they were starting out, FBM is probably very wise from my point of view. If you're doing E to A, at least just to start.
Yeah, I see people who are new to E to A and they get a prep center instantly. They're shipping everything to the prep center. They say, oh, look, I see Aaron and Steve. They're so hands off. If those bozos can do it, so can I. But one thing you have to understand is these bozos have been thrown through the fire for years, and we've got a lot of systems in place. And I think there's a lot of benefits to having the stuff come to you, seeing how the eBay sellers package the items, making sure that it's a match, right? A lot of times there could be mismatches. They could send you the wrong item. If you don't have systems in place like the E2A master sheet to reconcile your inventory, so on and so forth, there's so many ways to get burned. Yeah, Duncan, E to A is eBay to Amazon. That's what all of us do here. So yeah, I'm curious. So we've talked about a lot of the pros and cons, the benefits. I'm curious for the folks who are watching, was this helpful? Put a 1 in the comments if you found this helpful, if maybe you appreciate the honesty, right? I mean, all of us are kind of just sharing the pros and cons, ups and downs. Let us know in the comments. Is there anything else we've missed, guys, in terms of some of the pros and cons, the benefits, so on and so forth? Anything else that you feel like maybe Jason or Aaron, anybody that people should know about either?
We missed one important thing today.
Say that again?
Very important. I think we missed one thing. It's why are you sitting down today and not on a treadmill? It's very important.
Yeah, I'm almost 39 years old now. You know what's funny? I have a lot of the reason I'm actually not is over the last 6 months, I've started to get a lot of hip pain. Like my hips are super tight and killing me. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I go to a chiropractor and stuff. And I kind of told them my routine and stuff. And I've got this little $200 walking pad. And sometimes it kind of slips and it's not the highest quality like at a gym. And I think that was affecting my hips. So I stopped walking on it the last week and a half and just going outside in the blistering cold. And the hip pain is kind of going away. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Or it could be some other stuff helping the hip pain that Robert knows about, but we can't talk about that here. Oh man. So yeah, anything else we missed besides the treadmill, guys? No? Covered it all. Are you going to change, Aaron? Aaron, are you going merchant fulfilling? Anybody?
No, I'm not. So my last little spill here is if you have kids and you can work your way up to having lots of VAs and doing FBA, I have been able to be involved in my kids' lives. I'm like a homeroom parent, which with all the females there, I think I'm the only guy that's a homeroom parent involved with the PTA. There we go, Robert. Involved with the PTA. I get to go to my kids' soccer matches, track field, going out of town to do all these things because I'm FBA. If I was FBM, I could not do that. FBM does have its pros, as everyone's talked about it. But for my lifestyle, for what I wanted to do, I wanted to delegate as much as possible. Yes, like Steve said, you have to work your way to it. I've been doing it for 3.5, 4 years. It's not how I started, but to get there has been a great thing for my family.
Kayla, what about yourself? Thanks, Aaron. Have you been converted? Are you going to flip-flop? Are you going to go 20% FBA and 80% MF? Are you going to stick to it? Why or why not?
Yeah, I'm going to stick to FBA. I have not been convinced to change, although I'd say FBM is my backup plan. I really value my time and that I'm able to do other things. Yes, I do make a lower margin because of it, but I like having the time. I have to agree completely with Aaron that I did work my way up here over the course of a couple of years. everybody's different, but it does take time. I'm not converted though. I'm going to stick to FBA.
Yeah, and I'll say for myself too, I'm going to stick with FBA, although I'm very, very tempted. But I feel like over the years, people always say like, you're going to get kicked off because of eBay to Amazon flipping and you don't have invoices. You want to know what would get me kicked off? It ain't going to be that. It's going to be me merchant fulfilling and just knowing my personality. And like, sometimes I just disappear for a week. Like that's just how my personality is. Like sometimes I just like, I have to get away from the grind. I have to put my mind to something else. Like I'm so sick of Amazon or so sick of whatever I'm doing, different businesses. And, for me, it's just, I think it takes a certain type of personality to do merchant fulfilling. For me, I don't think it's a good fit for my personality. I think I would get kicked off very, very quickly for like not shipping something out, or I don't know. It's just like everything's going to rely on me. And I like having a team support me. Like with my business now, like I have a team that supports me with sourcing and shipping, and I'm kind of just like overseeing it. I don't have to physically do all the work. Although, Robert's proving there's ways that you can hire people. I just don't want people coming to my house anymore. I used to have people coming to my house, working out of my garage, but I'm going to keep doing FBA. I love it. It's just, I keep increasing my margin because I know the return rates are going to be higher. I know the scams, the Amazon does not have your back as an FBA seller. I know it. So I keep raising the bar, and my business is becoming more and more profitable. This year, my goal is I'm going to try to, my highest numbers, I think is 750K I did. This year, my goal is I want to cross 1 million, maybe 1.2. We'll see. My net profit's already 150% up from last year, 2025, this time frame. So I'm going to keep doing it, but man, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I am jealous of a lot of the benefits of merchant fulfilling. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Tanner, did we convert you? You coming FBA, man? You coming over? You're gonna get that freedom. You're gonna stop driving your girl crazy with all that inventory at your little apartment or something. I know you don't have a ton of space over there, but what are we converting you or what?
Yeah, probably not. But if I am running out of space, so I might have to do a little bit of FBA, like Jason said, maybe like 10-20% if I really want to scale. But we do plan on moving within the next year, and literally the only thing I care about is having a space to do my business. So it will be scaled up, but I'm just saying, like, I'm looking at Robert's background and his like garage. I'm like, if I had that, like, all of y'all would be in trouble. I swear.
Awesome. I love it. And you guys know I'm just joking, right? We're just having fun here, seeing if we converted people. Jason, what are you saying? What do you coming to FBA or what? Are you sticking to FBM? You want to put all your inventory in the hands of FBA? You want to let them handle your returns and customer service and shipping and,
What's that cost?
Your soul.
Yeah, they already have it. Actually, and this is not a joke, actually, I will be sending out my first FBA shipment next week for one reason. At this point, I've scaled enough, and going into this Q4, I want to be able to have, I expect to have dozens and dozens of ASINs that I am deep on, 50, 100 or more on. And I want to have the benefits of being able to attack FBA merchant fulfilled on those 20, 30, 40 ASINs during the peak season. And a lot of sellers don't know that if you haven't merchant fulfilled for a while, Amazon sets storage limits, basically how many cubic feet of items that you could send in there. I have not sent a shipment for 2 years there, and I just looked, and I can only have 100 cubic feet. So what is that, a couple hundred items? So I need to start drip feeding in some select ASINs next week and slowly build that up between now and when I get to November, when it's prime time. So my early estimates is I'll probably want to have 1,000, maybe 1,500 units there, and that might only be 20 different ASINs. I might have 30 or 50 of each during Black Friday on, maybe a couple thousand at the most. So I am actually going to do a shipment next week, probably just 2 or 3 SKUs. I'm going to pick something that are maybe slightly slower sellers that I have backstock on that would maybe get that little extra FBA bump and get them out of here and just give me a little bit more space. So does that count as being converted? So, yep.
Yeah,
we lose you there? Yep, there you are.
And Robert, what about you, man? You work a full-time job, you got a family, you know, you could use a little bit more time of, you know, Netflixing and hanging out and, you know, not working
This
so
whole
hard.
conversation, I realize it's time to quit. Amazon's done. I'm not going to do that anymore.
You gonna go to Whatnot?
Shut it all down. You just be done with it completely.
Yeah, you don't have invoices anyways, so you should just give
No,
up.
I don't. Exactly. So it's all a scam.
Yep. This whole show is just actually, we're not even people. This is AI generated.
It is.
No, man, you're killing it. I guess to kind of close things off, guys, maybe we could end off by going around and just sharing what's one thing that you plan on doing in Q2, right? The second quarter of 2026 compared to 2021. That's gonna maybe you know, help you grow your business, right? I mean, I'll start. We're gonna keep spending more money. We're gonna literally just up our spend. We're gonna keep spending more money. We're doubling down on the winners. We're using a lot more seller board before we buy items to check our refund rate. And I mean, we're just going to keep spending. Sometimes I kind of got a little shy last year spending because I didn't have a good grasp and a good system in place to tag items that we don't want to buy anymore. We didn't have like the seller board replay catcher integration. Now we use that all the time. Like we were just lacking a lot of systems. So now that we have the systems in place, we're going to keep cranking up the spend. Aaron, what about you?
I'm right there with you. I'm actually most likely going to hire one more VA in the next couple of months to increase that spend rate, trying to double from what we were spending back in January to, I mean, slowly increase spend, but double between January and probably September timeframe, double what we're spending.
I love it. So that's why you're getting another VA to be able to. Dude, I was thinking the same thing. It's just so overwhelming. Like hiring a sourcing VA, like hiring other VAs is way easier, but like someone who's actually sourcing for you, like we should talk behind the scenes. Maybe we got to like put the VAs in a group together because we're all buying this and like train them up. Well, no.
Yeah, I mean, as you've done before, I've actually got one I think I'm going to hire. It's one of my VA's fiance, so kind of keeping the family so she can actually train them. There are positives and negatives like that. Well, I've already done it once within the same family, and it's worked out very well. So we're going to roll the dice and try it again.
All right. Awesome. Love it, man. Well, you inspired me. I think I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to keep you posted. Caleb, how about yourself? One thing you're planning on doing to grow your business and increase your profits with your eBay to Amazon business?
Yeah, I'll just mention what Robert brought up earlier today. You know, just mentioning, I think it's really important to do some manual sourcing so I can spend more. So kind of improving our systems for how we source as a team. So I have 2 sourcing virtual assistants. They do a very good job, but normally I have to come up with a new system if we're going to source something differently and then teach them how to do it. So I think taking the ASINs I already use and Replen, manually searching works. Obviously, you know, it's much better to honestly go through the Replen catcher first, but then to manually look into that as well can add a reason to be able to spend more money and grow revenue. So that's what our plan is.
That'll be a good future topic. I don't know if we want to share that, but that would be a good. Manual sourcing is huge. Like softwares are great. Obviously I built Replay Catcher, but there's so many deals that aren't on the softwares. It's absolutely insane. Robert, what about you, my friend?
I think my main goal this year is to really cut down on my return rate. I think last year was close to like 20%. I was buying so many electronics, which I really shouldn't have, but the ROI was just so good. I was like, how do I pass up 200% ROIs on stuff? So I kept buying them like crazy. So I was still profitable, but the return rates were just insane. So my goal is to try to stay to like 10% this year.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And try to like really, I don't really need another VA yet. I have the guy that works for me, so that's all pretty much smooth as it is. My systems are all pretty good as is in place. So I really think it's just the return rate I have to really track down a little less.
Yep. The return rate will absolutely murder your margins.
Not just that, it also kills your cash flow too when you get like tons of them back to back. That
Yeah.
part does suck too.
Yeah, and with FBA, like every return comes with even more expenses, right? Like to get it,
Yeah.
like to deal, like for a return, I'm paying for the return from the customer, and if I want to get shipped back to my house, I'm paying for that as well as an FBA seller. So, and then there's the loss of the product because it's going to come back unsellable, almost guaranteed with my products FBA. Tanner, how about you, my friend?
Yeah, obviously spending more each month as we get closer to Q4. You know, trying to eliminate like ASINs that are like I'm already getting like multiple returns on. Like if something's been returned like like 3 out of 5 times or 3 out of 4 times, I might just cut it off and like just move on. I'm trying to be really stingy about, you know, the replens that I'm keeping in our replens list. So just trying to cut off those when I see fit. And then just adding more leads and ASINs to the replen catcher. Like I'm at like 1,700 right now. I have like 5,000 planned. So I'm trying to get up to 2,000-3,000, something like that. I'm gated on a bunch more brands, probably more than most of you guys are. So it's a little bit harder, but I'm finding ways around it to fill up those leads lists.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say, and this will be interesting, maybe inspire people, because, you know, we've done training before. I've seen your account. Like you're definitely restricted in a lot more brands than I am. Like we've talked behind the scenes. How are you growing so quickly, having so many restrictions? Are you just, like Jason always says, like you're just going hard into the few brands that you can sell? Like you're going deep into the Transformers or deep into the Milwaukee, deep into the few things? Or what's the strategy there before we kind of end this call?
Yeah, I mean, obviously going really deep on the brands that I am ungated in, but I mean, me and my VA, like every single day we're on the live stream, we're doing, you know, reverse sourcing, like we're doing all the different ways to source and like, you know, just finding any type of lead that we can that fits our criteria. So there's a lot of brands that I sell that don't have a lot of ASINs, but they have a few ASINs that are really, really nice. You know what I mean? So I feel like I have to go a little bit wider as far as brands go than say Jason, where he can go his whole, like a fourth of his inventory is Lego. Like I'm hard gated in Lego. I'll never be able to sell Lego my entire life probably. So I have to go wider in brands, unfortunately. So
Gotcha. All right, cool, man. Well, if you're doing it, you're killing it. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Of course, thanks everybody for being on the panel. This was a lot of fun. Sorry for going over the time, but this was a fun topic, and yeah, it seems like folks in the comments enjoyed it. So we're trying to do these calls maybe once or twice per month. So you know, leave a comment down below afterwards if you have any ideas or suggestions for future calls. But yeah, guys, this will be up on the YouTube channel, the replay, so you can watch it, go through it, run the transcript through ChatGPT and get a summary if you want. But thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate you all, and we'll see you probably in a couple weeks or so. Have a great night. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.